Let's look at the future now, learning from what's happened. And how long are you going to continue to struggle and fight on, and at what cost?
I think that when you look at the people here, the thousands here in Rabaa, these are people who have come to stand with their principle. The military has no right to play a political role in the game. We are against the military coup. We are for democracy. But in order to re-establish that constitutional legitimacy, we need to restore the president, the constitution, and the Shura Council, and then reconcile together on a roadmap that includes everything, including presidential election or even a referendum on the president. We don't mind any option as long as it's through the democratic process, not through the bullying power of the tank.
But if you look at what's happening now, is it not becoming politically incumbent to at least open channels, back channels of dialogue with the present government that claims to have extended an olive branch to the Muslim Brotherhood, or perhaps even with the army?
If this was an issue about the Muslim Brotherhood taking a piece of the cake or coming back into office, that might have been the case. We're not interested. What we're interested in is to safeguard the future of Egypt. And the main loss that we're seeing here is for anyone accepting the military coup to actually have a political role. We've gone through elections, through 5 electoral milestones. Is there any guarantee the military is not going to do it again if it doesn't like the results?
But unless you participate in the political process, how could you guarantee that the military will not do it again?
Well, we did it before, and it happened 3 times through a military coup. I mean, we're either stupid or we're dumb. There can't be any other option. We can't go through another cycle and then expect to trust the military, and certainly the hypocrisy of the rest of the world that says it's a hard medicine, just swallow it and go on. No. This time the thousands you're seeing out there are adamant on standing to their principle, even in the face of bullets tearing through their flesh. And we live with that consequence. But yet the rest of the world, and certainly the rest of Egyptians, will live with the consequence of facing a 60-year new plunge of military dictators, even if they have a civilian face who failed at every electoral test slapped on top of it.
So how long and at what cost? I repeat my question to you.
As long as it needs and at any cost.
And would that mean if elections were to be held in the next 6 months, the Ikhwan would stay away from those elections?
Do you think with that many millions on the streets protesting almost every other week, elections are going to be held anytime soon? I don't think so. And I don't think the military can ever conduct fair and free elections. In fact, I think a big part of that blow to the Muslim Brotherhood, the arrest of the leaders, the killing of the protesters, the closure of the main offices, confiscation of assets, closure of media channels, all of that signals one thing. It's still the same 2 actors on the scene from the beginning till now. It's either the old state or the Muslim Brotherhood. There is no organizational actors yet in the Egyptian scene. Everyone else chooses a camp. And the Muslim Brotherhood knows that, and the old state knows that, and the army knows that. So for them, it's not about elections, because even if we have elections now, they did their analogies, they did their polls, and they know if there were presidential and parliamentary elections now, there's only one actor to win them, and that's the Muslim Brotherhood, and they can't take that test again.
And that is perhaps one of the main accusations that is leveled at the Muslim Brotherhood. It's because you are the most organized, because the chances are that the Muslim Brotherhood would win an election. The accusation is that the Muslim Brotherhood is arrogant, does not want to listen to the minority, be they the Christian, the Coptic Christians, or the women, or the youth, and that they will do unto themselves what they want.
Well, these are always the accusation carried out by the media, the state media and the public media. But in reality, we're completely the opposite of that. We are the most party that has representation of youth. We always have the highest representation of women, both in our lists and in our internal parties, as well as in the parliament itself. We are the party that always carries Coptic Christians into the higher end of the electoral parliamentary lists. And yet, above all of that, we always open up our list to anyone who wants to work with us through the parliamentary machine. We carried Hamdan Sabahi and his parliament and his party into parliament in the first parliamentary election. And yet now he's standing against us. None of the main parties of what is called the opposition have ever gone into any elections. Their grassroots level is not known, their support is not known, their parties have never been tested. And yet we always open our arms. When we echoed the idea to have a single president facing the military's choice of president in the presidential election, everyone laughed at us. Everyone said you're trying to subvert the process, when this is exactly what we offered. Open ground for everyone to work with us, and we would provide them with our own electoral machine. And yet, we're the ones to blame for their failure.
All right, so let me ask you this then. In the future democracy, as Egypt evolves, will it be a pluralistic democracy, or will it be an Islamic democracy? What would the Muslim Brotherhood prefer?
Democracy is democracy, be it Islamic or pluralistic, it's the same thing. It's people choosing their representatives. The fact that many of these representatives come from the Islamic current is the choice of the people, and I don't think anyone has the right to question the choice of the people unless the other parties man up to the responsibility of being in the opposition, build proper parties, elect proper leaders that show up to policy discussions, build programs that they can present with the rhetoric to the people, and then the people can make the choice. But the people can't make the choice on someone whining enough and playing the blame game, and then when he fails at the ballot box, go brushes up to the military. This is not politics. You either go through the ballot box and present your options and your scenarios and your solutions to the people, or you play the role of a TV commentator like many of the opposition leaders did, and unfortunately that doesn't win you votes.
And so then what would you say to those who demand that because Egypt is a society that it is, and historically has been so, it is time, now that democracy has begun to evolve, to keep religion away from politics?
Religion and politics is always an issue in Egypt. What we believe in is that religion actually enshrines political values, because religion for us was a safeguard. But at the end of the day, religious individuals don't make laws. They have no sovereignty or authority in the political system at all, and we believe in that separation. Only MPs do. They're the ones that make laws. We don't wear a seatbelt because religion tells us to do so. We wear it because there's a law telling us to do so. And that's exactly how we think a state should function. And we don't think that anything should supersede the law. And the law, every citizen, regardless of religion, race, ethnicity, is equal in front of it.
But then what is the message that you're sending out from your stage in Rabat? It's very overtly religious. You have to admit it. This is your vote bank. You have to cater to your vote bank in order to keep your flock together.
This is not a vote bank or a flock. This is streams of Egyptian people that feel that democracy is for everyone but political Islam parties. And that's exactly why they gathered here today. Less than 30% of the people here are from the Muslim Brotherhood. They represent different Islamic party streams. Some of them are very new to democracy even as an idea. And many of them are expressing all their levels of betrayal that they felt because the army stepped in and subverted the entire process. I think that for now, they can all express their ideas, because until we have a law that can put the brackets on expressions and how freedom of expression is actually directed, then everyone else is judgmental about each and every party's position, because we can say even worse about the hate speech emerging from the other side of the aisle.
All right, and you've admitted that there were problems, there were mistakes, and that perhaps the approach should have been different, perhaps priorities in terms of setting things right and sending out a message to the people, those priorities should have been different. Now, in terms of making the Muslim Brotherhood more democratic, and in terms of responding to the people of the country in a more responsive manner, what would the Muslim Brotherhood do differently going ahead from this moment on?
You see, the Muslim Brotherhood is the most democratic institution in Egypt. We're grassroots connected. All our leadership levels stem from the ground up. They are elected at every level. We have our own internal council called the Shura Council, and we have our internal parliament. And we have an executive board that takes tactical decisions. And all of that is fueled through internal democratic processes. So for us, it's a good enough system. We don't have any better one to implement. And the choices that are made by that system are through votes. So you can't question the choice after it's made. There are many different streams of ideas, but at the end of the day, it's the logic that's contested and how many votes you have after each one of them. Within that context, you can't really blame the context of decision making. What you can blame is how the entire strategy was handled. And that blame, I believe, is much more of a generational divide rather than the choice of different decisions. Because the old generations of Egypt are still, to this day, the ones leading the transformation of Egypt and through the transition. That hasn't changed. I don't think it will change unless we close that chapter so that we have a sustainable base on which new parties, youth parties, can emerge. Many of the youth groups have failed to transition from destructive revolutionary forces that have an objective to remove individuals from office into political parties that have an objective to install them into office.
Yeah, but you still seem to be sidestepping the whole issue of the whole question of addressing the issues of the youth, of addressing the issues that the millions of Egyptians came out onto the streets.
Millions of Egyptians came out on both sides. Again, it's not an idea how many people on the street. If it was a numbers game, it would have been over in the first week after the revolution, and everyone knows that. Even the opposition knows that. And that's why we're saying it's not a numbers game. We would have beat you on it way ago. It was never a numbers game. It's sticking to the rules of the game, the ballot box. Anything else other than that, you have to go through the system itself. Even if I would consider on a personal basis that the revolutionary youth's concerns and priorities are of highest importance, unless we can sell this to the general public, it doesn't matter. Because the public is the one that makes the choices. And they make them either through representatives or through the ballot box.
But democracy, again, does not stop at the ballot box. It continues forward with policy making and decisions. And that's where the problem really was seen to exist.
Absolutely. But this is a president elected from the Islamic camp at the end of the day. I don't expect him to carry a secular ideology anytime soon. What I expected from the secular camp is that they would participate in parliamentary politics, elect MPs, and these MPs would either show up at the policy discussion sessions or force the president to do something. That's how you force the executive power. India is the prime example of that. A country that big, with the biggest democracy literally in the world that's functioning on that level, how come it's not happening in our place of the world? This is a region that has been devastated by military coups. And if the world allows, in the 21st century, a new military coup to take place, the ripples are certainly going to be not going to be limited to Egypt.
Well, all right, we'll have to leave it on that. Gehad el Haddad, thank you so much for sparing the time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, and there you have it, Gehad el Haddad speaking exclusively here to DD News. This is the voice of the Muslim Brotherhood, defiant as ever, determined as ever to wrest back their democratically elected government and that of President Mohamed Morsi. With camera person Ajay Bhakuni in Cairo, Royden D'Souza, DD News.